Hey, it's Sam, and I'm making a quick video here today because I'm republishing an excerpt from my 2017 forecast. You know, every year I do these. This was actually published last November, and it's in anticipation of the upcoming year, and it was actually an overview of the 10 most important shifts for 2017. We've already had 4 of them, and there are actually 6 more remaining. So, as I noted in the 2017 forecast, the large transformative shifts are really backloaded this year. Many of them start, a very big one started when Saturn went retrograde back into Scorpio. So we're seeing a lot of the current social unrest and upheaval and a revisiting of the paranoia and strangeness of 2016 since the end of June. And I said this in my web class, you're about to see the exact clip, which was recorded in November of last year, about the times we're living in now with the recent, unprecedented failure of the President of the United States to actually call out racist Nazi white supremacists for what they are, and the potential terror and fear that is sort of gripping the world, or at least gripping the United States now on the brink of, like, what, are we about to have a race war with a president emboldening white supremacy? And again, so it's a return to this intensity, which was a lot of the fear and paranoia in the 2016 election. And again, you're about to see the clip itself from the actual web class. And so, again, but what I would also urge you to do is to look at and join and watch the full web class. It's less than an hour, but it talks about the 10 major shifts that we can expect for 2017. You'll already see the recent history up until now, but you'll also be able to get this for your sign, because each year I do a forecast for all 12 signs based on these 10 important shifts. And so again, most of the shifts are still to come, with Jupiter going into Libra, then Mars joining it. We have these squares between Mars and Saturn, which again I describe here, that between June 20th and early October, particularly around the middle of September when Saturn and Mars really square off, could be a time of enormous unrest and social upheaval. So again, after this introduction and invitation to join the web class, it's free. You just give your email address and you can watch it. You'll see the exact excerpt from the web class. And of course, this is purely based on the sidereal zodiac. I've been doing these for years, where, again, right after the 2016 election, in fact, early January, Saturn went into, of course, sidereal Sagittarius, which I said would be a time where we are motivated and more committed to what inspires us, which is Sagittarius, rather than what we fear. And this is why even right after the election in the U.S., you started seeing a certain amount of hope around the idea, like, okay, this is what we needed to really clarify our purpose. But now, again, Saturn turns retrograde, then he goes back into Scorpio, of course, sidereal, and we're revisiting these paranoid, stressed out themes of the previous couple of years when Saturn went through Scorpio, and that whole election cycle. And again, the whole thing isn't about the election, by the way. In fact, not at all. It's about, I should say, the web class isn't all about the election or anything like that. But I'm just saying, culturally and mass, we're revisiting these big themes because that's what Saturn is. And the shift from Sagittarius to Scorpio, or back into Scorpio, is an opportunity for us to clean this up and not just knuckle under to the fear and paranoia, but to clean it up and get it right and move forward and leave this dark, disgusting past behind. This is the challenge. And so, however, we need to face the ugliness and the potential explosiveness of this, which is what's going on. So watch me describe this in about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, as part of, one of the 10 major shifts that we're grappling with. And besides watching this clip, you should join the web class and get the full forecast for 2017, and also see how it affects you and your sign. Now, we also have Saturn retrograde back into Scorpio. This is the next important transit after the Venus retrograde. Saturn turned retrograde earlier, but he goes back into Scorpio June 20th, and he'll be there until October 6th. So this is what? June 20th, July, August, September. 3.5 months, Jupiter goes retrograde into Scorpio. So we're going to feel a return to the previous fears and paranoid projections of Scorpio. Personally, globally, and culturally, this could be a time when we feel somewhat terrorized and tempted to look for simplistic answers to complex problems in order to feel safe, like I said before. There's also a great opportunity for transforming our fear into strength and a dignified solitude. So we saw a lot of this Saturn in Scorpio during the elections of 2016 in the US, and which kind of dominated the world a little bit, and a lot of fear of other people and terrorists and Mexicans and foreigners and all of this stuff, or fear of leftists and liberals and fear of corrupt politicians and all of the fear that were stoked up and amped up. Or fear of white supremacists, fear of intolerance, fear of sexism, racism, right? Just all of that. And this is what happened in the recent political cycle in the US. Hillary Clinton was trying to scare you to death about Donald Trump. Donald Trump was trying to scare you to death about Clinton. So Saturn, again, with Saturn going into Sagittarius, we're moving from that. We're trying to move on to something more hopeful, not fearful. But Saturn going retrograde back into Scorpio on June 20th until October 6th is going to show a return to that energy. We might see some kind of cultural event, like a terrorist event, some kind of social unrest, some kind of boiling point, especially later when we get Mars and Leo, especially early September. With this Mars and Leo, Saturn and Scorpio mutual aspect, we may see some kind of boiling point culturally where things kind of explode and sort of turn into a combustible situation where this Saturn and Scorpio previous fears and paranoid projections come to a head. Okay? So again, it's between June 20th and October 6th that we're going to return to some of that harsh rhetoric, divisive rhetoric, and we'll see a kind of, we'll return to that ugly underbelly. And I expect it to come to a head more when we get closer to this September 3rd through 12th, Mars in Leo, Saturn in Scorpio mutual aspect. But between June and September, June 20th and early September over the summer, we could definitely be feeling the return to this kind of stress as Saturn goes back into Scorpio.